Your Highness, basically, usually mental health in the Middle East is a taboo, all right? So usually is celebrated on the World Mental Health Day in October, and that's it. And few discussions here and there. How can we take it and elevate the discussion across the region, including the Sultanate of Oman?
Okay. First of all, good afternoon to all of you. I'm so happy to be back at the Week Convention. So exciting. And I'm going to be a downer a bit on that question right now. Who follows me and knows that question is a trigger question for me. So I'm very thankful, first of all, to be here, to this lovely group of people. And I'm very thankful that I'm able to talk about something that people continuously tell me it's a taboo topic. So I think when I come in and I say what I do, it's like, woo, taboo. I feel like there's a bubble on top of my head and it's just written, taboo, Middle East, don't talk about mental health. I have the privilege I was born in the UK. I'm actually half British, half Omani. I've lived abroad, I've lived here, and taboo of mental health is everywhere. And I've said this so many times. And we have people from all over the world here today, right? Is it easy to talk about mental health where you come from? It isn't. And the thing is, I think it will always be like that, but it is much more better than before. Much, much more better. But there's a part of it, and I continuously say this, that is personal. It's between me and me. Nobody's going to talk about that. That's emotional. And it's something that it's hard for us to talk about. So when we talk about the Middle East, and we talk about the evil eye, and we talk about culture, so in the 19th century in Europe, what was happening? We had asylums. We had women, and I've said this before, who thought that they were witches if they had problems with mental health. So it's always been there. What we are lacking is awareness campaigns, creative awareness campaigns.
Yeah.
But as you said a few minutes ago, that there's a lot of people who are visiting the psychiatrists,
yes,
right? So that's a good indication.
Yes.
Another good indication you were talking about, and you know what? That insurance doesn't cover it. So now we need it that much. That why isn't insurance covering? So we're talking about it. The bigger indication, we are here talking about this topic in the UAE, in the Gulf. But before all of this, I'd like to ask all of us a question, especially with recent events, climate change and all of the hoopla and everything that's happening, wars, and everything that's literally when you wake up, you kind of don't want to open your phone. So if I asked all of you today, how is your mental health? I challenge one of you to stand up and say, I'm 100% okay. Anyone for the challenge? I'm 100% okay. You are? Perfect. Please enlighten us, because I've been doing this for a long time and I'm not okay. It's not, we're living a life that is continuously challenging. Hence, we do events like this, right? To kind of calm down, to kind of talk about this. We're living a big problem right now.
Yeah.
So none of us is really okay. And this is a question that we don't ask each other. We ask each other, how are you, right?
Yes.
But do we ask each other, how is your mental health today?
Yeah.
That's going to be a difficult question, right?
Thank you very much, Your Highness. Dr. Miriam, as you know, many people differentiate between physical health and mental health, and very few combine them, and what's called underfunctional health. How can we basically clarify the situation in this aspect so people are set and clear, especially the wonderful women around here?
Thank you very much for inviting me today. I'm so much pleased to be here, but at the same time, I'm so much worried because of the level of the estrogen in this room. Mm-hmm. It's worrying, really. Do you agree? So allow me to answer your question in a different way, if you don't mind. So when we talk about mental health and physical health, it is so much combined, and we have to bear in mind that each community will have this terminology with a different definition. Mm-hmm. But I can, again, from my point of view, majority of the community, they do understand and they do combine the good health when you are mentally healthy. So at the same time, allow me also to explore a different area. I am a physician and I specialize in genetic disorders. And with the advance in medicine and advance in technology, we came to know that there is many of those mental disorder, which is defined as a mental disorder, they can be predicted early enough, and intervention tools are available and can be done, where the outcome will be so profound with a good health. And I'll give you an example about our lovely country, United Arab Emirates. We are usually we are composed of around 17 big tribes, which is extended from Oman till Iraq.
Yeah.
And we thought previously that our genetic define us from where I'm descending and how my genes look like. But right now, with a better understanding of epigenetics, we came to know that there is other elements which has a profound effect on our mental status. And the biggest profound effect and factor, sleep, sleep, sleep. And number two is your microbiota.
Yes.
Those organisms which live in your tummy
Yes.
and play a big role in making sure that there is the right amount of your neurotransmitter in the body.
Yeah.
So when we talk about mental health, as Her Highness said just now, we rarely find people goes to the doctor to say that today I feel not good or I feel bad, especially in the primary health care. But as a physician, we came to know that people who comes to primary health care, they're complaining of severe headache, continuous headache, undifferentiated abdominal pain, joint pain.
Yeah.
But when you go and analyze everything, you end up knowing that there is a psychological element of that.
Yeah.
And then we send them back to wherever they want. But the good understanding right now of how functional medicine play a huge role in that. And I always tell my client and everybody I know, if you went to the physician and you have flu or you have abdominal pain, and he will not ask you about your sleep, please change your physician.
Yeah. Thank you. What about the work-life balance? As we are seeing now, more and more women are working and still they want to balance. How can we lessen the impact of work on a woman's mental health?
Back in 2013, there were a women conference in Dubai. And at that time, I highlighted an area where me myself noticed it on my career.
Yeah.
As you know, I was lucky enough to be the first woman in my history of my young country to be Under Secretary of Public Health.
Yeah.
And later on, I was the first woman to be in the most senior position in Dubai as a Director General in Dubai government. In this position, I always tend to see myself alone with a black abaya and all white dresses. And I'll tell you one thing, please, I will answer your question from a woman point of view.
Yes.
I was qualified from Dubai Government College in the leadership program. In this leadership program, nobody taught me that me as a woman, I'm completely different as a woman leader than the male leader. Nobody taught me how important it is for me to understand the impact of my estrogen and progesterone during my period and my decision.
Yeah.
And the two decisions, which I regret today, I came to know I took them when I was my first day of my period. And from that time, I make sure there is balance in the hormone in the room, and there is a team which I work through them. There is enough male in the team, because I end up knowing that after 6 months, if you will be with any female in the same environment, you will have your period in the same week.
Yeah.
So that will affect you. And I make sure. So that's why, as a woman leader, it's very important to know exactly when is your period, how healthy is your hormones, and to know how to minimize the control of such nasty hormones by taking good nap sleep, by increasing your a green tea, minimizing your caffeine during your period, and make sure not to invite your mother-in-law when you have your period first.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Miriam. Your Highness, we talk a lot about sleep, basically. Not very far from here, there are many practices to combat basically sleep disorders. More than 75% of us have encountered certain type of sleep disorders, 33 severe sleep disorders, and it's more towards women's side than men's side. How can we improve our sleep habits among the hectic professional lifestyle of women, jet lags, more women are working, they are traveling, and all that. Some people are saying more like retreat, for example, sleep retreats, and some are using technology, and some are blaming devices for that, for worsening the sleep disorders. How can we improve sleeping across?
Can I say something just before that, if I may, about work and life balance that we are always asked as women?
Yes,
Only men are
please.
not asked that question. Let's think about this. You said work and life.
Right.
So is work not in life?
Yeah.
It's the same
Work,
thing.
private life.
It's the same
What I
thing.
mean. Yeah.
Our life, work is in it. When we start doing work and life, it doesn't go because it's part of my life.
Yeah.
And that's where the problem starts.
Yes.
There is no balance between work and life because it's one thing.
Yes.
And this came from a long time ago. I think it was the 60s or the 50s when they had to check in, check out. They started this whole, thing about work balance and all of that. But actually lots of studies, and I would encourage for you to go and read this today. There is nothing called work and life balance because work is in your life. If work is that means this is not your job. You shouldn't be in this work. There's a stigma on it. Now, coming to the magical question of how do we have a good sleep? I was just talking to Dr. Mariam. I was like, you encourage sleep, and people who come to me can't sleep at all. And the first time I met, I was like, so how do you look like this? She's like, sleep. I'm like, that's it. I went home, I was like, sleep. Hours and hours. It didn't work, okay? Yeah. I don't look the same. But I do understand. The typical question for if somebody comes to a psychologist, how do I get my life better? The typical would be eat well, do sports, and sleep. We're all very different. Yeah. We've come from different families, different cultures. Our personality is different. So we have people who close their eyes and they're just gone.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was in Japan when I was a teenager, and literally I'll be in the train, and I'll sit and watch, and they'll just go. Yeah. And then there was no one to get off on their... I'm like, how?
Yeah. In Japan, I used to live in Japan. Do you foresee basically in companies to have sleeping sofas as part of the basically for nap after lunch naps, like in Japan?
I've actually seen this somewhere. I just feel like...
In the Middle East?
I know, I've seen it somewhere in a picture actually, but I just feel we are going a bit overboard with, there's some things are just not normal. Can you imagine being in an office? What is this? This is that work balance thing again.
Yeah.
It's not, how can it work? Maybe make a room or something, but I think we're too, now, you know how we talked about mental health not being talked about?
Yes.
Do you know that everybody talks about mental health now? Everybody who has a phone goes, hello, today, and gives us points. People who don't even know anything about it, which is a good thing, but a bad thing as well. So going back to sleep. Sleep is to do, and please correct me, doctor, because I'm so happy you're here, you do the physical part. Yeah. It's to do with your body, how it is, and your personality, I think, and how you were brought up. And you train yourself to sleep. But it's when you see a baby, we are born kind of relaxed, even though we see babies crying. And I have a colleague, we're trying to tell her, it's nice to have kids. Every time we go up, kids are like acting up. I actually feel she's paying people to do this drama every time we go out. But kids go to sleep so peacefully. You just see their tummy go up and down. Why is that? Who taught them how to sleep? Who taught them how to be resilient? They're very mindful as well.
Yeah.
We are born with all of these. Life,
The
and being
pace,
brought up,
this-
and things going on.
the fastest pace in history, UAE, especially Dubai.
Sorry, what is it again?
The pace, the
pace.
rhythm.
Yes, exactly. And there's things happening.
That's why in 50 years, Dubai now is the world's #1 city because of this fast pace. How can we balance that?
By taking your own mind and thinking, do you want to be in this fast pace or do you want to take it step by step? Not everything that somebody tells you to go through, you go blindly. You have to think about yourself, your pace. There's a lot of times, for example, there's water, don't go out. There's rain, the recent thing, stay at home. Don't take a jet ski and go crazy. Don't take a rubber dinghy. What did people do? They took a jet ski, they took a rubber dinghy, but it was their choice, even though people told them not to. And some things really bad happened.
Yes.
So sometimes you have to teach yourself, and that's why as mothers and fathers, you bring up your children that this is me, I'm teaching you this, but you also have to have your mind.
Yeah.
And that's something I think we don't think of. And we're happy to say, oh, but they didn't tell us. Oh, but they didn't warn us. Can't you see?
Yeah.
Can't you think? So sleep. You know, in Arabic proverb, they say the person who sleeps easily has no problems. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I see people, I don't want to say who, from
I see it the
from
other
my
way around.
family,
Yeah.
mashallah, they put their head down,
Yeah.
they're out. It's how they are.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I want to ask you, seeing that you're in the panel, do men sleep? I know statistics-wise, it's difficult for us to sleep more
Yeah.
than you guys.
Yeah.
But how do you guys just switch off? Maybe you don't have life balance and work. How does it happen?
Well, I can tell you that.
That you need to, like-
I can tell you that this is the biggest daily debate with my dear wife.
Okay. We need to know the secret.
Thank you very much, Your Highness. Dr. Miriam, policies, as you know, play a crucial role in advancing cultures. And here in this forward-thinking country, the United Arab Emirates, and across the GCC, are really taking very solid steps in this regard. We have seen some, for example, one PR agency that's a female-only PR agency has set its own criteria for women, for menopause, for period, for XYZ, for their 60 plus women working there. However, this is at the micro level. How can we elevate that at the macro level in terms of policy so we improve things?
When it's come to policy, I have a very humble experience. Goes back to my young, lovely country. When I took the lead as Undersecretary of Public Health and Primary Health Care, and in my opinion, as physician or nurse or whoever is in the whole chain of healthcare service, we need to be a role model. So what I've done in my sector, I had around 6,000 staff under me.
Yes.
So I decided that the incentive of the year and the KPI will go align with your weight waist.
Yeah.
So, and your BMI. Those people who will have their ideal BMI before the end of year assessment. So we started by the first month of the year and we took all the measurement and we provide them with all the tools which will help them to lose their weight. And those people who will go near their ideal BMI, they will have an extra bonus financially as well as in their HR file. You cannot imagine how people was overwhelming to follow this.
Yeah.
And additional to that, I made sure physician who smoke, he will never be promoted unless he will stop smoking. But that was not easy. It was not easy because I got 100 of emails referring to human rights, to me. So I had to do it in a very low profile without announcing it in the newspaper.
It could be as part of the ESG, for example. As you know, we are seeing more unified GCC laws for different aspects, and mental health is an essential part of the S of ESG. Now, some countries are going mandatory ESG report or guidelines, and some are having voluntary, basically gradual. Are we going to start something voluntary framework for that?
If you go, how many of you went to the UAE government strategy platform? We have our strategy for 2071. And if you'll see in the healthcare strategy, there is a whole chapter of mental health, which was started back in 2015. So in United Arab Emirates, what we tend to do, we keep things voluntarily, let people be aware about it, and then the law will be enforced. But allow me to use this panel and the leadership which we have here. In my opinion, every one of us is responsible. And if you are a female, I'm sure you have a family, you have a husband, if not husband, and your children, it will be your father, your brother. And before talking about how essential it is, the national policies, let's consider our houses as a country. And you as a woman, you can set your policy. Allow me to add to Her Highness talk about how we can maintain good sleep. Sleep is not only one element. It's a very comprehensive, different elements come from different type of your lifestyle. We'll start with your microbiota. These microbiome in your tummy. People, they will go and use the machine to have a better theta wave where they will go in deep sleep. But at the same time, your sleep plan start one night before. So if I want to sleep well tonight, I should start that yesterday. This is number one. Number two, it's very important to bear in mind, we have something called electronic pollution. Still, people are not talking about it because this is big no from mobile companies. And that itself shows a huge impact on how stable is your wave in your brain, especially if you are in a room where router is next to you, where your mobile is next to you. It will somehow affect the balance of your electricity either in your brain or in your body. The third factor, we have to bear in mind epigenetic. Epigenetics is simply a new science in medicine, which is only 40 years old, where we address the relationship between environmental factor and our genetic makeup. It's exactly like when the contractor came and he built this auditorium. He came and he made sure there is a ceiling, there is a chandelier, spotlight, ACs. But before he leave, he made sure there is a socket by which you can control which light to open and which light to close. And the same is applicable to us on human being. Regardless, we are talking about sleep or any other health condition.
Any 3 points, recommendations that help us disconnect?
If you allow me only for them to understand. So this is switch, because of that, we have female, for example, she will have her puberty in a specific age. Woman, she will go her menopause in a specific age. Because of the epigenetic factor, these switch will switch on and switch off. So when we talk about sleep, if you will tell me, Miriam, how we can, I'm not specialized in sleep health. Our colleague in psychiatry and psychologists can say better, but I will share with the audience my humble experience and humble knowledge about longevity. Everybody talks about longevity, how we can elongate our biological clock and biological age. The most profound factor which will help you to age gracefully is to maintain a good quality of sleep. And why is that? Because we have the circadian rhythm. It's exactly like a prime minister and the cabinet of a country. They are the one who's controlling everything. So I will give you some secret as a woman. It's very important today to go back home and check the quality of your pillow and make sure it is a silk cover and the mattress. Number two, switch all the router in your house before bedtime, 1 hour before bedtime. Number three, which is really important, make sure to ventilate your room as much as possible. And during the day, the last caffeine you will take should be at 2 o'clock, not 4 or 5. And additional to that, the last meal should be at least 3 hours before your bedtime. If you will be hungry, try to grab a cucumber, yogurt, or something like that. And make sure you have the right person next to you on the bed if you are married. And yeah, no, I'm coming to this point, believe me. And if you have, we are talking science. You need to have an intimacy relation with the person who is next to you. It does affect the quality of if you're asleep. And the final point, which I would like to highlight, please make sure to brush your teeth before bedtime and brush it after your breakfast, because the microbiota in our mouth play a huge role in the health of our brain and the heart, as well as our ovaries.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mariam. Your Highness, I'm sure that many attendees do have kids, teenagers. How can we improve the mental health of teenagers, including girls?
Can I just say one thing about the sleep?
Yes.
Is that okay?
Including helping teenagers to sleep.
Yes, because they are the part where you might not sleep.
Yes.
So if you do all of that, which I love it, I get it. I'm just thinking, what if your mind doesn't switch off? What if you have problems? You do all of that, but your mind is ongoing because your teenager is now going to this is her last year in school.
Yes.
Your twin sons are now not as close to you because they're young boys and they have their own thing, you know, and you have your worries as a mother. You're always worrying, and that's a healthy thing. And it's a lot of people will say, oh, but maybe I always feel bad when I go out and I leave my kids, you know, it's not a good thing. But do you tell them what you're doing? Do you explain? So if I have all of this going on, I can't really switch off. So maybe there's mechanisms of maybe going to talk to somebody about something that's going on, maybe writing down next to your bed something, maybe doing a kind of routine. A routine, of course, is something very important. And that maybe also will help switch off and think, okay, I'll think about it tomorrow. So there's the physical and there's the psychological part. That's why there isn't really one key, because it depends on who you are and what you've gone through and what you're going through. Now, when it comes to teenagers, thank you for that question, because everybody seems to forget that they were a teenager. We have all got this memory loss that we were once a teenager, and we tend to forget to tell our kids that we did the same things they're doing right now. The thing is they're more advanced. So my 8-year-old is like how I was when I was a teenager now, for example. So if I ask my 8-year-old a question, and then she asks me a question, and then I don't answer, my 8-year-old goes to the mobile and checks in Google. So I have to jump quickly and check in Google too. I mean, I'm just giving you the difference between today and a long time ago. So when we say teenagers, I feel we make them a taboo. We make them like, oh my God, teenagers. We were the same. When we were their age, our parents felt the same. Oh my God, teenagers. We have to keep updating. You know how we update our phones, we update all the things that we're going on. We need to update ourselves, because if we are here today and we think we're the parent and we know everything, they're at the end of the room already. They're way more quicker, advanced, because even in school, we didn't have iPads and all this technology. I don't understand what my children are studying. To tell you that I have no idea. And I'm not even talking about the teenagers, I'm talking about the 8-year-old. I don't know what math she's studying right now. This is how advanced they are. So we need to have a relationship with them. And I'm not saying that relationship where, oh, he has to tell me everything. I have to. That's something you build from when they're children, by the way. You can't suddenly be like, oh, what's wrong with him? Why is he dealing like this? They do change, but did you build that relationship? Give them a bit of space, not to breathe as in go wild and do everything wrong and say, oh, but they're learning. You have to just give them the space to understand what's going on. Yeah. We cannot shelter them. We cannot put them in a bottle and carry them everywhere. I wish, honestly. Yeah. But they need to learn. And if we did that, we're harming them. So understanding them, listening to them, and learning. You have to learn as well. And remembering how you were when you were a teenager. We were not well, I'm presuming we were not all angels. I'm
Absolutely.
presuming.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
that we have to remember that.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Your Highness. Dr. Miriam, before we wrap up, thank you.
Again, I'll go back to policy. Back in 2017, our organization, Sheikh Zayed Genetic Research Center, we work with KHDA, which is the Knowledge
Absolutely.
Human Development
Authority.
in Dubai. So we came up to them with a project. We said, let's us do more education in schools, private schools
Yes.
in Dubai. And one of those schools was my daughter's school.
Yes.
So you cannot imagine the impact on the student performance as soon as we involve mothers. We didn't go and talk to the children or to the teenagers.
Yeah.
We made sure we approach mothers, and we made sure that to send a very important message. As a mother, you shouldn't ask your teenager to go and sleep unless you are in bed.
Yeah.
And when you will switch out router, believe me, they have nothing else to do except going to bed. So you need to start with yourself as a parent, go to bed early, and be a good example by action rather than advice.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to Her Highness Sayyida Basma Al Saeed and of course Dr. Miriam bint Muhammad Matar. Thank you very much. Honor and privilege to have you today.